software robots, introduction part only, and the installation of UI path. So these topics only we are going to cover today. So for this we have three eminent resource persons today. The first session will be taken care of by Mr. Srihari, who will be giving the presentation on the basics. So he is the CTO of Arun Systems and founder of QB Tech. He, he holds a master degree in the instrumentation and control engineering department, and he has 8 years of teaching experience, followed by again 5 years of industrial experience, and then 4 years as a CTO in the current organization. So I welcome you, sir.
Thank you, madam. Thank you very much for the introduction.
So you can start now, sir, because it is already time.
Okay.
Okay, so thank you. Over to Srihari, sir.
Good morning, all of you. Good morning, professors. I hope that I am audible to you. Is my screen visible?
No, sir.
Okay. Now it is visible.
Yes, sir.
Can you see the first slide, Introduction to Robotic Process Automation? Can you see the slide?
No, slide is not visible. It's visible now, sir. Okay.
Is it visible now, ma'am?
Visible, sir.
Okay. So good morning, professors, once again, and from my part, I welcome you all for this 5-day program on Introduction to Software, Robots, and Automation. So my part will be to speak something about robotic process automation, and I understood from your coordinators that we have reached the maximum participants day before. I'm very happy to learn that, very happy to understand that, and also we also understood that we have plenty of non-computer science stream attending, non-computer science candidates attending the program, plenty of non-engineering candidates attending the program. It is very nice to understand that, because the depth of application area for what we are speaking now is immense. It includes a lot of non-engineering fields like healthcare, accounts, etc., etc. So we believe that when teachers are aware of a technology, a future technology, that will not only benefit the student community, but it will directly benefit people like us also, because you will share your knowledge with your students. That will definitely benefit us also. So we'll go into the introduction part. Robotic process automation, or RPA, is quite a buzzword now. So I think that most of you have heard about this term. Some of you might understood what this actually is, and some of you may be a bit expert in this field. But considering the whole population, some might not be aware of these terms. So what we have planned is that we'll start from the scratch. We'll just explain the very basic things. We'll explain the terms. We'll explain, at least for the first 2 days, we'll be touching only the very basics of this. Those who are aware of this topic, please excuse us, because we have to consider others also. So we'll just explain the basic today. The first session we'll explain the basic today. So the agenda today is to say what is RPA, who are the key market drivers, and the life cycle of robotic process automation. And we'll also see why we go for an RPA, the scenarios behind it, and the users. And at the end, we'll try to list out some tools available for these automation purpose. There are various tools available. We'll just list it out. In the second session, we'll try to install UiPath, one of the tool available. And in the coming days, we'll be programming UiPath. We'll be getting familiarized with UiPath environment. And at the end of day 4, I'm sure that you'll be able to develop your own robots, your own projects. So so the slide layout, you're seeing a 4.0, a 0 being lifted by a robot. So what is this 4.0? Many of you would have heard this term. It is all about industrial revolution. Okay, we are into the industry 4 now. So I'm not going into the detail of it. I'll just say a brief about our industrial revolution. So it all started in 18th century. The first revolution was in 18th century, where the processes were controlled a bit mechanically or naturally, we'll say. Most of the process are controlled by steam power or water power, etc., etc. So it took another century to find the next Industrial Revolution 2, where it started with the advent of electricity. So once after invention of electricity, we understood that a process can be controlled in the sense you can switch on, you will get a supply, you can switch it off, you will control the supply. Okay, so a process can be controlled on our wish. That is realized, and that led to the Industrial Revolution 2. Again, it took another century to see the Industrial Revolution 3, where the advancement of computers and programs were used. So in that time, the assembly line, the process line, in the mass production, everywhere we use computers, and we started programming our mechanical robots. So we call, in our terms in instrumentation, we call it as programmable logic controllers, something like that. It took another 40 years. I need to say that I have to stress the term 40 years, because all those 3 revolutions took a century, but it took another 40 years to see the Industrial Revolution 4, where we deal with cyber physical systems. It is not about hardware, robots, something like that. The revolution was taken forward by these cyber physical systems. That is what we are going to deal with. And one more point I have to say is that 100, 100, and 100 for 3 revolution, and at the end it is 40 for the 4th revolution, and we are expecting that it will come around 20 or 25 to see the 5th revolution. So we have to be prepared for that. whether we are prepared or not, the future will come. So we have to be prepared. That is why I emphasize the point that when teachers are aware about future technology, it will affect a larger community. So that is about Industrial Revolution 4, and we are into Industry 4, and we are at Industrial Revolution 4, we are dealing with cyber physical systems. So robotic process automation, the term robot, when you hear the term robot, many of us will have a picture about a robot in our mind. So a fantasy robot. In every language, there are movies with some pictures of robots like these with a hand, leg, humanoid robots. So first itself, first day, first session, I want to make it very clear that what we are going to deal with is not this robot. It is not at all this robot. It's there in your title. It is all about software robots, and we call it as bots, software bots. So at the end, you will be trying to develop a software bot which will control some process. You'll see the details of it. So robotic process automation, what is RPA? So we'll see the term first, the term robot, process and automation. So what is a robot? A robotic in the sense it is any entity which has the capability to mimic human actions. So the main purpose of robots is that it should have the capability to mimic some of the human actions. The term process means a sequence of steps that lead to a meaningful activity or task. So it can be a step-by-step process which will at the end lead to a meaningful activity. So the term sequence and activity for the next 5 days, you are going to hear it often when we are dealing with the software. So we'll say an example for a process. A simple example for a process is about making a tea. All of you would be aware of it. So what are the steps involved in making a tea? So first we'll try to boil some water. We'll add sugar. We'll add tea leaves into it. Then we'll try to add milk and at the end sugar if necessary. So these are step-by-step processes. Step-by-step. These are sequence of steps, which at the end will lead to a meaningful activity, which at the end will give you a tea. So this is a process as such. So what about automation? So the term clearly shows that any task which happens automatically, we call it as automation. Any task happening automatically means without any human intervention. So some of in our industry terms, there are automation with minimal human intervention, semi-automation, something like that. But the term automation means the task which happens automatically, we mean. So we'll club these words together, robotic process automation. So that becomes our topic. So mimicking human actions to perform a sequence of steps that lead to a meaningful activity without much human intervention is known as robotic process automation. I think those who are new to this subject might understand what this term actually refers to. So now what we are trying to do, we are trying to use a tool to develop a software board to mimic some human action without human intervention. So when we are trying to implement a new technology, a new software into a firm, a company, there are certain things need to be addressed, certain questions to be answered. Like when I bring a new technology, new software into it, what are the cost pressure it brings along with it? Whether these technology will help us help in our growth, whether I can use this technology to make a product and outsource my product, whether I can meet the customer expectation. Since it is a new technology, will it adapt into our system? Will it disturb our system? Will it be easier to learn and master this new technology? And also, when a new technology comes, whether it will be in compliance with our policies and regulations. So all these questions need to be answered. And from robotic process automation point of view, we will say that it definitely reduces your cost pressure. It definitely help in your growth of the firm. It meets, I can say that it meets 100% of your customer expectations. Being a new technology, it is easier and user friendly to learn, that you will understand within another 2-3 days. And since it is a bot, since it is a software bot where we are programming, we are designing a bot, it it will be in compliance with the regulations. So you can make products, you can outsource your products also. So all the key market drives, the major key market drives will be answered with this technology. So when I bring a technology, what are the benefits I take along? First is that I make an investment for implementing a technology. I'll make sure that it gives you a rapid return of investment. Rapid ROI is the first point. Rapid return of investments. So definitely it is going to enhance your process. When your process is enhanced, it brings better customer experiences. It improves the service delivery and it enhances the ability to manage. What it actually do is that it eliminates repetitive work done by the workforce. It eliminates repetitive work. It gives more time for the workforce for insights and analytics. Most important point is that it reduces the cost. So it is a non-invasive technology. It will not disturb your process and it will be in compliance with your process. So the last thing is that these are some of the benefits of RPA technology, some of the important benefits of RPA technology. The last thing is that it is scalable. The scalability and flexibility is good with this. Scalable in the sense you can automate a process today, you can make, if you want to automate 4 process, 10 process, 15 process, the scalability is high and good. So these are some of the benefits of implementing robotic process automation technology. So once again, I just summarize. I've said about the term robotic process automation. I've said you about the benefits of implementing robotic process automation in a firm. So why? So you have all these things in your mind. You have I've said plenty of benefits. So that is one reason, but particularly why? So what are these are the benefits? What I have explained is from the benefits of an automation point of view. Automation point of view, there is traditional automation. There is automation before I said about Industrial Revolution 3. That time itself there is automation. So these are some of the benefits of automation. So why particularly RPA or robotic process automation? So I'll explain. If I am a bit faster, please let me know it. Or I think this space is enough. When it is silent, I'll take that this space is enough. So why we are going for? Am I audible?
Yeah, audible.
Okay. So
So
when I
1 minute, sir. So any participants, you can give messages in the chat, or you can raise your hand to tell something. Thank you. Continue.
okay. So why RPA? So as teachers, you know very well that when you for the past 1 year we are taking online classes. So we are looking into the screen and taking, and we don't know what is the response of people sitting at the other side. So that is the reason we quite often ask whether we are audible, whether you are understanding everything. So okay, never mind. So why particularly robotic process automation? I'll explain this with some scenarios, 1 or 2 scenarios, and I will try to compare traditional automation and robotic process automation. So one of the case, credit card. I know that most of you would have received, all of you would have received a call from bank saying that you are pre-approved with a credit card. You can have these offers. These are the offers. You can keep it free of cost. These, that, and all. You might have received a call like this. And at least some of us might have taken credit card, whether it is necessary or not, we would have taken it. We are keeping it with us. As the number of credit card customers increases, the number of fraud behind these, the number of anomalies behind these also increases. Think of a situation that a bank has 10 lakh credit card customers. Normally, a good bank will have more number of customers. I'm just taking a number, 10 lakh credit card owners with it. So 10 lakh customers. So out of these 10 lakh, maybe 50 to 100 customers may come across a fraud that you often hear news that your money is gone through your credit card or debit card, money from your account is gone, illegal use of credit cards for purchase, everything you would have heard. So every banking system will have a credit card fraud detection system. To detect a system, a dedicated workforce entirely to see into the details of credit cards, details of credit card fraud, etc., etc. So think of that system. What are the points they will check for this a fraud to be detected? First thing is that they will check the last location of access. Say, for example, I am from Chennai or Tamil Nadu, I am from Tamil Nadu. So normally my access location will be in and around Tamil Nadu, in and around Chennai, if my location is Chennai. Suddenly you saw an access location from Canada. Suddenly you saw an access location from US. It means that there is a possibility of anomaly in it. So that is one thing they will check. Second one, as a customer, they know that from my past or from my activities, they will understand what is my normal amount of transaction. Think that I'll transact 50,000 rupees per month or 1 lakh rupees per month to the maximum. And suddenly you saw a surge in this transaction amount, it is going to 5 lakh rupees or 10 lakh rupees or 15 lakh rupees. So there is a possibility of anomaly. And the third thing is that you can check for the number of times the wrong pin is entered. So one time, two time, it is okay. Continuously, if you get a wrong pin attempt, there is also a possibility of anomaly. There are many exceptions like this. I've just listed out 2 or 3 possibilities. So think we have 10 lakh customers. The details of all these customers are continuously received by the company. So think of an Excel sheet where 10 lakh entity details are stored. So each customer will have various fields like name, address, their account number, other details, their all along with all these 3 details: last location, usual amount, number of times, etc., etc. So think of a data like that, an Excel sheet like that. Okay. Now the normal system is that this information is being given, this data sheet is being given to our workforce, to the workforce of the company. Think that another 50 people are working on it. 50 people receive an Excel sheet whose data is continuously changing, whose data is a structured data, data in a pattern. We just have to see into the fields of the data. So what does this workforce do? They look into each and every data. They look into each and every data and find whether there is any anomaly or not. So 50 people are out there, 10 lakh customers. One might get nearly 20,000 data. Take for example, one might get 20,000 data. So as an employee, I get 20,000 data, an Excel sheet with the 20,000 data. I have to check each and every field and find whether there is an anomaly and report the anomaly. This is my work. So first day of work is very easy. If you are good with computers, you find it very easy that it is a simple task. So second day, it is okay. The third day, you start getting bored. The fourth day, the work will not be the same. The work is the same, but the way you take the work will not be the same. And as days pass, the interest you lost because you are doing a repeated job, you're doing a boresome job which has got a huge amount of data. So that you lost your interest. So when you lost interest, when our workforce lost interest in doing that work, it is definite that you are prone to errors. First day, you might solve these 20,000 data in 10 hours. Next day, it may take 12 hours. It takes 13 hours. But the data is same, 20,000 data. It take more and more time. So this is one scenario where you can think of robotic process automation. So a credit card, its details are taken to the workforce process the detail, find the anomaly, and these anomaly will be reported either to another team, or this team itself will solve the anomalies. Now I am bringing RPA into the scenario. So again, the same scenario, credit card, I receive all these 10 lakh data, and all the data received are given to an automated system. Here is the term software robots which comes used to another software robot. So these robot will process all these data, 10 lakh data. It finds the anomalies, maybe 50 anomalies, or it will report only these 50 anomalies to our workforce. Now, what does these workforce do? These workforce will just have to sit on these anomalies and try to report these anomalies and solve on these anomalies. So this is the first scenario I am explaining where we can bring RPA. Now, what is the difference? Normally it is said that a job which is done by a human in 15 minutes, a job done by a human in 15 minutes will be completed in 1 minute by a robot. So you can see that 15 is to 1. So you can understand a huge amount of data, maybe a bot solving 20,000 data, how long it takes. And another scenario is that we work for, normally a human work for 8 hours. Indian engineers will work nearly for 10 to 12 hours maximum. But these automated system, they can work for 24 hours if necessary, or we can schedule a work with an automatic system to work from one particular time to another time. So they work for 7 days, they work for 365 days. There is no tires, there is no incentives, nothing, etc. etc. So that improves, that is what we said, that it improves the, it gives a rapid return of investment, it improves the customer performance, because 50 anomalies, one day evening you are giving the data, next day morning you come to the office, you receive the 50 anomalies, you sit on only on these 50 anomalies and you are trying to solve that. Else, what is the case? You are coming to the office in the morning, you sit on these 20,000 data, you find the anomalies by 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock. After that, it will take some time to solve with these. So definitely the customer experience is improved. From a human point of view, now you would have obviously thought that I have 50 employees now, 50 employees looking into these data, 50 employees working on it. Now I am replacing these 50 employees by a robot. So what about the job of 50 employees? That is gone. So we can't think like that. You can think it in another perspective. What we say in our field is that you can think from another perspective. That was such a repetitive task, such a boring task. What you can do is that you can use your workforce now to do better tasks. To do better task in the sense, he can do more customer related tasks. So the workforce can be used to do tasks which are a bit only I think again I have to make a point that when I say we are replacing a workforce with an automated system or a bot, I have to make this point very clear. In the coming slides also I'll make it. I have to make it very clear that not every process can be replaced by an automated system. There are processes which can be replaced by automated system. There are processes which only humans can deal with, because only humans, at least now, only humans can think out of the box. So you can use your workforce for doing such things, which will again further increase your customer experience and customer satisfaction. So this is one scenario about a credit card fraud detection system. I think that you'll agree with this. The next one, a second scenario we are seeing, a data entry employee. So what is his job? He get data from multiple sources, maybe from multiple Excel files or an Excel file and a Word and a PDF. What is the job assigned to him is that you take the data, you process the data, according to some conditions given, you aggregate the data into a single Excel file and pass it to the company. Data entry employee, being in the field of engineering college education, polytechnic education, technical field education, you will understand this, because nowadays we are in electrical department. A student studying electrical engineering, what is the job? He's a software engineer. A student studying mechanical engineering, a software engineer. Student studying civil engineering, a software engineer. So what is the job he is actually doing? many of the students, we know that many of the students are doing a data entry job, at least at the entry level. Okay, so what it does, the same scenario, first day it will be easy, second day it will be okay, third day he's going to find it difficult and you are going to make more errors. So here also we can replace these employees by a bot, by an automated system which gets data from multiple sources and it can aggregate them into a single Excel file. So we are continuously saying about automated system. Now, I have already said there was traditional automation. Why we should go to RPA, we have said already. But still, we'll make the point a bit more clear by comparing a scenario with a traditional automation. So let's take a scenario now and compare. So think of a food delivery system, a food delivery company. We know many of them now, Swiggy, Zomato, something like that. Think of a company like that. So when they started, they might have got some customers, like 50 customers on the first day, second day it might be 75, third day it might be 500, then it can be 50,000, and after a good performance in the market, they might have got 50 lakh customers. Now processing the data on the first day with 50 customers and the processing the data today with 50 lakh customers is a different story. So first day you could have done manually. Now it becomes difficult. Now the owner thinks that I have to automate this process. Otherwise, he has to spend a lot of money. He has to spend a lot of workforce for processing the data. So he's going to automate it. There are two ways. He can go for a traditional automation way or can think of an RPA. So what is his requirement? His requirement is that he will have number of invoices. Company decides to automate the process, and now he decides, when we see automation, a software automation, immediately he'll hire a software engineer to code and automate the process. So what is his process? His database has got number of invoices. I say 50 lakh customers a day. So 50 lakh invoices from them. It is not only their invoice, whatever purchase he make as a company, he will have some invoice for that. Whatever other things, whatever process which needs invoice, all these invoices come into his database. So he has got a database which a huge amount of data, and there are few data which need to be avoided, there are few data which need to be taken from it. So this is his work. From the invoice repository, find the relevant invoices and process the data and give the processed data to the company. At the end, you need to give us only the processed data. So he hires a software engineer. Now the software engineer is going to code. He's going to write a script and automate these. So what are the steps he will do? Just make an So first itself, we need to log into the company's invoice repository. So there will be a login page. As we log in our, so the computer science stream people will understand this easier, but the others, you just think of a login what you do in your Gmail. So you want to log into your email ID. So what is the first thing you do? You'll just go into their, type the URL, go into their web page. Then you'll see a page like to enter your username and a password. When you enter your username and a password, if that username and password matches with their database, you enter into your mailbox. There is another exception. If it doesn't match, it will give you a message that your password is wrong. It will give another option, you like forget password. If you make more attempts, in certain cases, you will be blocked from making any more attempts, something like that. So that is a process going on there. So that is, so first itself, we have to write an API to log into company's invoice repository. So API in the sense so those who are not aware of it think that it is a program which will do all these things. So he has to write an API to log into company's invoice repository. So once he has logged in, then he has to find relevant invoices and retrieve them. So again, the next step, you have to write another API to find relevant invoices and retrieve them from the database. The next step will be to search and read relevant data. See, first thing he has got into the database, then you have to take the relevant invoices, and from the relevant invoice, read the relevant data. Say, for example, even after finding the relevant invoice, there will be large data in these invoices. You need only certain things, maybe what is the food he has ordered, what is the cost, what is the address, what is his phone number. Only few datas are required. Now you have to, from the relevant invoices, you have to search and read relevant data. These data need to be store these data to be entered in variables. Then you have to write another API to open an Excel file and write the variables which I have already stored. So another API to open Excel file and write those variables. So once you have done with this, think that you have got 50,000 orders today. So it is 50,000 data in with you. Now the next day starts with 50,001. So after all these process, he needs to take care of index values for the next day. To do this process, he has to at least write 4 APIs covering all the exceptions, 4 APIs and other codes to meet these automation. So definitely that it takes around 1 to 3 weeks to complete these APIs and do these automate these tasks. So now instead of hiring a software engineer to automate these, now the company decides to switch to RPI and decide to hire an RPA developer. The same process, invoices are there, retrieve the relevant invoice, retrieve relevant data, and give the process data to the company. So what does an RPA developer do? What are the process he uses? I have said about RPA tools. Some of RPA tools are available. So use any one of the tool. You open the tool, and inside the tool, you will understand from tomorrow that at least from today we are going to install this tool. So inside the tool, there are a lot of drag and drop activities which are already programmed. Drag and drop different tool functionalities to mimic human action. Drag and drop. There are functionalities which will mimic human action already available. You just have to drag and drop it. So you need not have to sit and write code. Because if it is to write code, I am not good at coding. So I don't like coding much. So for people like these, people like these RPA is a better option because everything is coded inside. You just need to understand the problem, understand the process, find a logic to solve that process, use the logic to drag and drop functionalities and run the tool. Your automation is done. And it hardly take 1 day to finish this. So 3 weeks for a traditional automation engineer, 1 day or hardly 2 days for an RPA developer. So three scenarios explain, three different scenarios. First one, where you have data from a single Excel file, where you have data from a single source, process the data, huge amount of data, structured data. Structured data, when I say the data pattern is the same. You get the same pattern of data, 10 lakh customers data in the same pattern every time. So the structured data, huge amount of data is the first case where the source is a single source. Second case, you can automate these things. You can automate data. You can take data from multiple sources also. It can be an Excel file, a Word file. It can be any electronic readable format. So you can take data from multiple files, merge that data, use a condition, process that data, and you can save it in a single file. The third is the one I've just mentioned now. You have a single data, you can again give conditions, you can check for the data, and you can keep updating your new database. Okay, so now you would understand that why it is so fast, why you get return of investment, and why it brings more customer experience, why it improves the customer experience. So these are the three scenarios which will explain you why we go for an RPA. So from these things what I have said, I'll just make a conclusion that RPA process is much faster than traditional automation. You'll agree with me that RPA is much faster than traditional automation. The reason is that you don't have to build from scratch, where the traditional automation engineers start to develop from the code to log in to all these things are automated in our tool. So everything is available there. You just have to drag and drop. So it takes 1 day to write an API to enter into a login repository, it take 2 minutes to drag and drop all these things here. So weeks to code in traditional automation, 1 day with RPA. So definitely it is going to be faster. You need not sit and code. Many of our students, when we talk to the students, what they don't like, they wanted to be software engineers, but they don't want to code out things. Uh, so it is user friendly. That is not what is recommended, but I'll say that this is user friendly. Since RPA tools are majorly drag and drop, it is easier for developers to achieve automation than writing code. So one point I've already mentioned that not all the process can be automated. And I have given some scenarios also. So once again, one more point I'll try to make. This is a study from McKinsey Research. I have come across this point already, but I'll give it in numbers. The study shows that this technology will have an economic impact of $5 to $7 trillion by the year 2025. It's not too far. It is just 4 years from here. So it will have a $5 to $7 trillion impact on the economy, and it will touch more than 230 million knowledge workers. 230 million knowledge workers in the sense it is 9% of the global workforce. So it will touch the workforce of these many people by 2025. You can see that that's my job. It's taken by a robot. So this point is purposely said here because we don't want to train our students to do repetitive tasks. We need to give them more information about technologies of the future where they should equip themselves to think out of the box. So when we say that these jobs are taken by the robots, there are other jobs which only humans can do, and our students need to be trained to equip themselves for those jobs. So where these RPAs can be used, the last one, wherever you have repetitive tasks, not as such that I have a task now, I have to automate these tasks. Okay, not something like that. I have a task in my hand, I have to automate this. Nothing like that. Wherever there is repetitive task, wherever you have manual work, huge amount of manual work, where the data is a structured data and where the data is being processed based on rule or rule based data. So rule based, manual, structured, logical and repetitive tasks, whenever you have a scenarios like that, and most importantly where there is no intelligent decision making. So such cases you can go for a robotic process automation. So that is what I have to give as a introduction to you. I think that some of the, at least you get some points, some information about this. Once again, I'll just summarize that robot is an entity which mimic human tasks to do a sequence of steps with no human intervention. So that is about RPA. And the rest of the things, we have seen 3 scenarios which will explain, which will justify why we should go for RPA. So hope that you got these points. Fine. So we have something called as RPA lifecycle. I understand that we'll be here by till 11 o'clock. We have time till 11 o'clock. So we'll see the RPA lifecycle as well. So when a client decide to automate his process or automate a process in his firm, till the moment he decide to automate a process, till he automate that process using any tool till he automate that process, there is a life cycle happening. We'll explain the life cycle one by one. So these are the various phases. Like discovery phase, it starts with the discovery phase. There's a solution design phase, development phase, the testing phase, user acceptance testing phase, deployment phase, and executing the bot. These are various phases of RPA lifecycle. So we'll start to explain, not in detail, but we'll give a glimpse into each and every step. So as a client, you decided that you are going to automate a process. Now a process is there in your hand. It should be a process. When I say process, it is a sequential steps. So you decided to automate a process. So you have a process in your hand. You are approaching a firm and saying that you need to automate this. So the product architect will ask you which task do you wish to automate. So the client will explain the task. Here we have taken a simple task. Here we have taken a use case that I want to automate the task of extracting data from an Excel file according to some condition. So there is an Excel file which is your sample data set. You have to put some condition into it and store the extracted data in another file. Simple. First thing you think that it will be easier to do it say using simple Excel or simple programming, but these data keeps updating every time. So we need to keep we need to update these data also. So we need to develop a bot to look into this data set, give a condition to the bot. If this condition is met, you extract the data and store the data into another Excel file. So this is your task. So discovery phase, I first hear the task, the product architect first hear the task, then he make an analysis on these client requirements. The client has given the requirement, he'll now try to make some analysis on that and decides whether the process may or may not be automated, whether a process can or cannot be automated. So there are two situations. The first phase, you hear the process, you analyze the process and decide whether this can be automated or not. So the use case, what I have said, for these use case, the first thing they will see is about the requirements. So what are the requirements for the use case described? As a sample data set to give some condition and retrieve the data into another Excel sheet. So the first requirement is that it should have a high-end system, 16 GB RAM system. You have a sample data set, and then you need to have some RPA tools and an output Excel sheet. So these are the requirements. Okay, we have taken a very simple problem, so the requirements is very simple. So if these requirements are okay, then again you'll see that okay, the process can be or cannot be automated. If the process cannot be automated, the process what I explained cannot be automated, what the process architect does is that he informs the client that the process what you have said cannot be automated, and he will list down certain reasons. These are the reasons behind it why you cannot automate this. And I emphasize on the point of listing down reason because in the second session we'll say what are the process that can be automated in detail. So there we'll see why this process need to be, why these reasons need to be listed down. So here just understand that the process cannot be automated and he'll list down the reason for why it cannot be automated. But if the process can be automated, then the next thing is that he'll measure the complexity. When I say complexity, it will look into all dependency issues, RAM issues, network issues, and all those things. So the complexity is measured, and then the benefits of automating such a process will be explained to the client in detail. So these whatever I am saying is the step we follow when a client approaches us to automate a process. So the complexity is measured and the benefits provided by the automation is explained to the client. So in our use case, what we can see is that the benefits are that it is definite that you require very less time to read the data set. No errors will be there in storing the data. And once your old data set gets updated, that these bot keeps updating the target data set also, the destination data set also. So these will be informed to the client. So that marks the end of a discovery phase. So the discovery phase starts by identifying the problem, by identifying the process and analyzing that whether the process can be automated or not. Now, once this discovery phase is over, we'll move on to solution design phase. So where a process architect along with a technical architect, you're seeing two people in your screen, along with a technical architect will sit and prepare process definition document. Prepare a document called as process definition document. So how they prepare this process definition document, they will look into the requirements of the client and they prepare this process definition document which contains the information about each process step by step. So it is a document, it is not a technical document, it is a document where it contains the process. Each and every process is noted down step by step. Say for example, we have when describing about process, I have said about making tea. So what I said is that you boil the water, you add tea leaves into it, then you add milk into it, you add sugar into it. So this is a process from the client, means the process definition document doesn't look like this. The process definition document will be much more elaborate, where they'll think of situations like this. You are using, think that you're using an induction stove. So you need to power on the induction stove, plug in the induction stove. Then you need to power on the switch. You need to take a vessel, then pour water into it, keep the vessel in the induction stove, then you switch on your induction stove, then you press menu. So the process will be again broken down in detail step by step. So that is your process definition document. Along with that, after breaking these into step by step, this team will decide on the budget and how many number of workforce I need to allocate for this to complete the task, and what time I'll take to complete these tasks, because we need to take minimum time with minimum number of people and with minimum budget. So we decide on all these factors. Process definition document, along with these, I'll try to create an object model flowchart. How to? It represents the complete flow of process, because the complete flow is listed down in your process document. So initialization, there is any condition, you give the condition. After condition, what is the next step? After that, what is the condition? What is the next step? What is the next step, and what is the final step? So these will be made into a flow chart, and this flow chart will be prepared. So for these use case, you'll see that we have said about a use case. What is done is you have a data set. So first step is to mention the path of the spreadsheet from which you need to extract the data. That is your input data set. So if you have a data set, you need to mention the path from where data is to be extracted. Again, you need to give another path where the data you wish to store the extracted data. You extract the data according to certain condition. You need to store the data. Now you need to give the path also. If you have a condition, give the condition. Say for example, in this case, you say that if your sales is greater than particular amount, that is your condition. So you give that condition. Use a counter to store the data, like first data, second data. Use the counter to store your data. Save all these tasks and execute the bot. So this is the initial step. You save these, you execute the bot, and the bot will be executed till the task is end. Means once all the conditions are met, the whole of your spreadsheet is processed, the bot, till that the bot will execute. So this is your solution design phase. So you'll decide on the tool in this phase. So what is the tool I'm going to use? There are various tools to implement automation. So some of the tools are listed here. From these, it is completely your call what tool you are going to use, what experts you have in your workforce, and so on. So you'll decide the tool. So that marks the end of solution design phase. I'll just summarize. You discovered the problem, you came to a conclusion that the problem can be automated, then you will make a document based on that problem. The process is well defined in that, a flow chart is made, the budget is decided, workforce and the time required is decided. Then you will try to prepare an object flow chart and you decide the tool. That is your solution design phase. Then you go for the development phase. So what do you do in this development phase? So the process architect and the technical architect have done all these things. So these will be given to your developer, the RPA developer. You will give this process definition document to your RPA developer. According to the process definition document, he prepares an automation script. The developer prepares the automation script for this process. He rechecks with the process definition document. If necessary, make corrections in your script and he'll finish off the script as error-free script. So this development phase is simple, that here the developer develops the automation script for the process. Once the script is ready, so the process is defined, the script is ready. Now the next phase will be to test. The user acceptance testing, what we do is that we'll give these to the user, to the owner, to the client, we'll give it in the pre-production environment. They'll be asked to check your bot, what we have designed, they will be asked to check these with sample data sets, because we come across, we are dealing with a healthcare project. So once when we are dealing with the healthcare project, they have a huge amount of data, and we design the bot and we have given them to check with the sample data. Say for example, you can't put a real data into it first itself, because when it comes to a healthcare system, maybe there will be times they will not be, the owner will not wish to share the documents, share the details of the people with us. So they'll be using some test case, and they'll be checking the acceptance of our bot. So they'll put this test case, they'll check, they'll see that whether all the conditions what they have given us are met. And once they are satisfied with this, once they are satisfied with our code, with our bot, they say they give us a thumbs up to go ahead. So once we receive an acceptance from them, once we receive an approval from them, this UAT phase is over, and we go to the next phase where we deploy the bot into the production environment. So now the bot is ready. It is into the environment. It is going to do the real task. So we put it, the bot is deployed into the production environment. And finally, this starts executing in real time. So the bot start to automate the task and see the output. Execute the bot to automate the task and see the output. Now it is in the production. So what it does, so in our sample case, think that we are asked to automate an Excel sheet based on certain condition. Think that this is your sample data set. You have a data set like this. So this is your second step. You are giving an output Excel sheet. So you are applying a condition, say for example, sales is greater than 2.5 lakh is your condition. So you applied that. So when you have a data set like this, and out of this data set, there may be very few data where the sales is more than 2.5 lakh. We just need to extract the whole row of that particular data alone. So the sales is greater than 2.5 lakh. Store data of that specific row into the output Excel sheet. So when you execute the bot, what you see first is that you'll see that your sales column get highlighted, because that is where we have set the condition. The sales column is highlighted, and it will look for which value is greater than 2.5 lakh. In this case, you will see just one value is greater than 2.5 lakh, and the whole of that row will be highlighted, and that row will be extracted, and the data will be stored in the output Excel file. So this is how our bot get executed. So this is about RPA life cycle, where we'll identify the problem. The process is identified. Check whether the process can be automated or cannot be automated. Once it cannot be automated, the reason is communicated to the client. If it can be automated, again the benefits are explained to them, and then we decide on the solution of it, where the process document is made, process definition document is made, the budget, the workforce, and the time is decided. Then the document is given to the development phase, where the developer will develop the script for it. Once the script is developed, we test it, deploy it, and execute the bot. So this is about RPA life cycle. There are top RPA tools. There are many tools available in the market. Some of the prominent tools are listed here. It started with Blue Prism. They are the pioneers in RPA. There is something called as UiPath. This is what we are going to study for the next 2-3 days. We are going to deal with UiPath. So this is considered the best because of various reasons that we will say one by one when we are dealing with the UiPath. It has got a community edition and an enterprise edition. Automation anywhere is there. This is having the biggest market presence. And there is a new tool called as WorkFusion, which is the emerging tool now. So now having these many options in front of you, it is up to your call of the firm to see which tool I'm going to select. There are a number of things we check before selecting the tool: the budget constraints, the expertise, because I'm having an expertise who's good with UiPath, then there is no point in selecting Blue Prism. So even if there are other constraints too, we'll see one by constraints one by one in the coming classes. So these are some of the top rated RPA tools available. And again, I'll emphasize the point that we are going to deal with UiPath. So the reason UiPath, we said that UiPath is best in RPA because it's one of the top RPA tools based on Google Trends. So the data shows that the blue color is the UiPath. You can see the average, you can see the year by May 2016 to October 2019, you can see the volume. So interest over time increases for this UiPath. So I'm just ending up all these things once again to emphasize my point that bringing an RPA into your framework will definitely improve the customer satisfaction, definitely improve the workplace, etc. I have taken an example from this is available in your UiPath website itself. I've just taken it to show that an RPA, what an RPA can do. So this is a simple example for healthcare system because we are saying about healthcare system because the latest project what we have done is a healthcare project. So there is a different project. If time permits, we'll speak about that project afterwards. So here you have a problem. You have a healthcare problem. So here what is represented is that there is a doctor who used this. Okay, so in the left side you see that before UiPath, in the right side you are seeing what after using this. So what is to be done? So a patient's record need to be mailed to him. So his reports along with a doctor's signature need to be mailed to him for some reasons. Think that it is not like these projects are done abroad. So not like our firm where we go directly to doctor, get the certificates and come. The things have changed. Things are not like that. It is all these are email communication. I make an email to my doctor asking for a report. So what is done manually? First is manual case. So the doctor receives a lab report. From the hospital, he receives the lab report. After receiving the lab report in hand, he opens the patient record. Maybe normally a patient record in their software. He opens the patient record. So in the patient record, he enters all these lab data. Okay. He enters the lab data. Then he opens another letter template. Okay, there is a normally they will have a template for that. Then he writes or type the patient letter. Once that letter is finished, along with these lab data, he will write a letter. He adds a digital signature to it and email it to the patient. And after sending the email, he verifies that the email is sent or not. And this record is closed and the doctor returns to the next patient. This is a normal case. So think that we are traditionally we are using we are using the traditional automation to do this. So we need to write many APIs to do each and every one of these. Now after using UiPath, they are saying after using an RPA environment, what does this do? Whatever in the right side, whatever is given in red is done by the bot, whatever is given in blue is done by the doctor. So first what this bot does is that it pulls the lab report, it gets the lab report, updates the patient record automatically, and the best thing is that it alerts the physician that the data is updated. So it takes the data, lab report, everything is done by the bot. So what the doctor does, what doctor comes to the action center, he got an alert signal. So he goes to the action center and click the patient name. So there may be 5 or 6 patients or 10 patients data available in the action center. He clicks the relevant patient's name. So the bot will present a pre-filled form. So the doctor can review the data in that. So he can choose some templates available in it. He can choose the template and submit the instruction to the bot. He just have to review the data, whether the bot has entered the data correctly, whether there is any exceptions in the data entered. If there are exceptions, these need to be sent back or we need to have a review on that. So the next step is that the bot will create, send and confirms the letter. So that is also done automatically. The doctor just have to open the action center and review the data. The rest of the things is done, and then he observes the task confirmation or exceptions. If there are any exceptions, as I have already said, when I say exceptions, say all these field, say for example, we are taking the blood pressure of a patient. So pressure of a patient will have a value in a range 80, 120, 70, 140. There will be a range, there will be a maximum minimum range based on the age. So when I enter wrongly in the lab, when I enter a value called 600 or 700, definitely that is not the correct value. There is some mistake, there is some error which has happened. So that also will be taken care. That needs to be, so that will be reviewed by the doctor, and he'll send a review for that because there is a wrong data in it. So once again the lab need to be contacted, and all these process, many of these here in this side you can see that 80% of the process are automated by the robot. Only 20% manual effort is done. So the best thing is that the first case the doctor spends 5 minutes on this, and the next case he just take less than 1 minute to complete the task. And I just wanted to say that the job of a doctor is to attend the patient. So the last you will see record closed, doctor returns to patient. That is his main job. He can't spend another 5 minutes preparing the report for the patient. So that is taken care by the bots. So that is what we said. Introducing a bot will not take away your job, will let you do more quality jobs for you. A doctor attending a patient is his job. So from your case, you can say that many of you would have experienced that when your college, when your firm go for an accreditation, NBA, NAC accreditation. So most of us would have experienced that what is our main job as a teacher, what is our main job? Because I have experienced these in the college, that is why I am taking this. As a teacher, my main job is to look into the teaching learning process. If I have free time, I'll do research on my subject, or I'll try to find some innovative methods in the teaching learning process. But what happens when it comes to an accreditation process? So we spend most of our time with the data, with the previous data, with the data 5 years back, with the data 4 years back. We'll keep on filling the attendance column, assignments, retrieve data from these, that. And what happens? Our main job will be we'll be giving lesser time to our main job. So it is not that a bot is coming, in our case, it is not that a bot is coming and taking away your job. It is that bot is doing a repetitive task, and you are allowed, you as a doctor or a teacher or a healthcare profession or a software engineer, you are allowed to make more contribution into your core area. That is what we need to emphasize. So this is about RPA, and I'll end up this with a simple myth. Many of the places I've heard saying that RPA, the terms are synonymous terms as RPA, AI. So the another buzzword now is AI. People are going behind artificial intelligence, something artificial intelligence and all. Is RPA the same as AI? Is the question. No, RPA is not AI and AI is not RPA. But we can say that if you can combine, there are case studies now where combination is made. If you can combine the two, which will unlock massive new possibilities for us. Because I have said which process need to be automated. I said that repetitive, manual, structured and logical data. So what if most of the data what we have are semi-structured or unstructured? So if we can combine the RPA with AI, it will try to understand documents including semi-structured or unstructured data. It can comprehend speech and carrying on conversations and chats, because chats, if done by a normal bots, will be like it will be something like programmed bots. A programmed question, we get a programmed answer. If we have a question which is not programmed, you get something as answer. So AI can solve all these problems, and you can end up by saying that RPA can serve as AI's last mile delivery system. So combination of these can bring wonders. So hope that the session was informative, and you would have get at least some of the points, at least some of new points and informative points from us. And that is all we have in this introduction part. So once again, I'll continue with the next session, where the next session, what we'll try to answer a simple question in detail. We have seen why we are going for RPA. Next session, again, we'll see in detail why is RPA, and there I said that when you have a process and the first question whether these can be automated or not, that is a difficult question to answer. So what are the steps we need to consider when we are saying that whether a process can be automated or not? If your process, see, there is another problem, like if your process cannot be automated as such, and if you definitely want to automate, somehow you want to automate the process, we'll make some suggestions in improving or in changing a bit of your process methods, like how you do the process, you find better ways so that we can automate, at least we can automate a part of your process, something like that. That will be dealing in detail in the next session. And at the end of the second session, we'll try to install UiPath. So I hope that every one of you are having a system with you, a laptop with you, and the minimum requirement they say for the laptop is 4 GB, laptop or your desktop is 4 GB RAM, because at least in your, say, for normally in our firm we will have 8 GB RAM. So we definitely know the difference in working with an 8 GB RAM and a 4 GB RAM. Right now what I'm dealing with, right now I'm having a system with a 4 GB RAM. So the system becomes a bit slower, the process becomes, at least initially it becomes a bit slower. So try to have a system. 4 GB is a minimum requirement. If you are working with the mobile phone, it will not be possible to do the exercise in parallel. And what we have planned is that when we start installing itself, we are willing that our participants will do it in parallel with us, because these things, it is not theoretical. Theoretical part will be over by session 2 itself. It is not simply theoretical. We'll have hands-on session, only then you will understand the easiness of this software. So I think that we'll have I also wanted to know whether you wanted to have assignments, whether you'd like to have assignments, in the sense at the end we'll have, at the end of the day we'll try to post some assignments for you, so that you can work on that assignment and you can come back next day, we'll discuss on that assignments. So that process will be I think that that will only give a fruitful result for us, because you have decided to spend 5 days from your valuable time. So to make it more informative, to make it 100% effective, we have planned like that. It is up to your interest. So we have got a lot of exercises for you. So that is all. I think that we'll have be time for the inauguration session. So that is all what I have from the first session. So one more point I have to say, if you have doubts, definitely there will be some doubts. What I'll say is that you can ask your doubt anytime. We'll be trying to clear your doubts. But what you can do is that you can note down your doubts, and as the class progresses, all whatever doubts which arise today will be today and the coming classes. Most of the doubts will be automatically gone. You will solve most of the doubts, and even if you are not, and even after that you are not able to solve your doubts, we are here definitely to help you. We are here to answer all your queries. So thank you for your patience.
Thank you, sir.